Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'd like to demonstrate how you can increase and decrease while making foundation stitches. For this video I'm going to be using Lion Brand Cottonees and a Furls Fiber Arts hook, both of which I'll link to in my blog post. And I'm also going to be demonstrating these using the foundation double crochet stitch, simply because it's one of the most common and the easiest one to show this with, but it can be done with a variety of foundation stitches. Here, just to demonstrate, I've created a small ripple, just to show you that without making a chain and then working into the chain, these are all foundation stitches. It can indeed be done. Let me show you how. We're going to start with a slip knot, just as we normally would for any row of foundation stitches. Okay. Let's start by making a couple of regular foundation double crochet stitches. We're going to yarn, and I want to talk specifically about what each part of this stitch does, although I've done it in my other videos, and this one it becomes particularly important. To make a foundation double crochet, what you want to do, let me do those chains again, that first one got a little tight. You need to make sure you can go into the first chain you've made, and that one was a little bit tight. Just to show you, everybody has to frog sometimes, myself included, that's for darn sure. Alright, let's chain 2. Now I'm going to start making my foundation double crochets going into the first chain, the second chain from the hook. I'm going to pull up a loop through that first chain. That first loop acts as the chain stitch. When you're making a foundation stitch, you're making the chains and the stitches that would go into those chains at the same time. That's the chain. That's important. When you yarn over and pull a loop through that loop, that becomes the first loop that you would pull up to make your stitch. So to finish it, you'd pull through 2, pull through 2. That's a standard foundation double crochet. I'm going to make a couple more here relatively quickly, just so that I can get something to work off of here. So when you go into the bottom of the previous stitch, go under both loops, pull up a loop, that's the chain stitch, pull up a loop, that's the start of a double crochet, finish the double crochet. One more, go underneath those loops at the bottom, pull up the chain stitch, pull up the start of the double crochet. Okay, now let's say we've come to a pattern where it had called for make a row of chains and then to work 2 double crochets in the next chain. Let's say we've come to the chain, this is the chain right here where we would have made our 2 double crochets in the chain. It said make 2 double crochets in the 2 chains, then the next chain make 2 double crochets. We've got 1 here. In order to increase, what we're going to do is yarn over as we normally would, go into that bottom just as we normally would, and pull up a loop. However, we already have the chain space for this stitch because we're making 2 double crochets in that chain space. So we're going to treat this loop as the start of our double crochet. Instead of making a chain and then making the start of a double crochet, this is the first loop of the double crochet. So we'll work through 2 and work through 2. So you can see if this little V down here at the bottom is the chain stitch, we now have 2 double crochets coming out of it. And we could continue to do that. If it said, let me pull up a little bit more yarn here, sorry about that. Okay, if the direction said to make 3 double crochets in the chain, we'd yarn over, we'd go right back into that same V stitch, and you have to look carefully to see which one the previous one came out of. Pull up a loop and right away go into the double crochet. So just like that you can increase. We've got 3 double crochets all working into that chain. Now if we were supposed to continue and make, say, double crochet in the next 6 chains, working evenly along, we'd go right back into that one more time. Pull up a loop, that's a new chain. Pull up a loop, that starts a new double crochet. Pull through 2, pull through 2, and now we're working along straight again. Yarn over, go into the bottom. Sometimes getting under that second one is always a little fiddly here. There we go. Pull up a chain, pull up the start of the stitch, and finish a double crochet. And you can see we've made a nice increase there. We've actually managed to turn a corner because we have 3 double crochets all worked into that same chain down there at the bottom. So let's now try making some decreases. Did you need to pause?
No.
Something popped.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Okay, just checking. Okay, let's make a decrease. Now, what we're going to do, if you think about when you're making decreases, if we're double crocheting 2 together or double crocheting 3 together, what you're doing is you're working into those 2 or 3 chains, making partial stitches, and then yarning over and pulling through to create 1 stitch, where 3 stitches turn into 1. So we want to create 3 bases that end up in 1 stitch. So let's start a double crochet. We'll start with a 2 together and turn it into a 3 together. You could really, again, go unlimited. So we're going to go into the bottom, pull it up. That's the chain. That's the bottom of the first one. Yarn over, pull through 1. That's the start of the double crochet. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, and stop with 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over again to start the second double crochet. Go into the base of the previous one, pull up a loop. That's the chain of the next one. Pull up a loop. That starts the double crochet of this one. Yarn over, pull through 2. We now have 3 loops on the hook. If it said double crochet 2 together, we would yarn over and pull through all 3. Let's pretend it said double crochet 3 together, as if we were making a ripple. That's pretty common in a ripple or chevron stitch. We'll yarn over, go into the bottom of the previous one again, pull up the chain for the next one, pull up the start of the double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, and now with 4 loops left on the hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And as you can see, we have 3 stitches that become 1. So we've got our curve heading back that way, sort of like a V, as if we were making a ripple. And then from there, I'll make a couple more standard foundation double crochets, just so you can kind of see what we've accomplished here. Go into the bottom, pull up the chain, start the double crochet. And you can see we can make an increase where we work several stitches into the same chain, and we can make a decrease, which is a little harder to see. And if you continued making decreases over this as you would in a ripple, this would become a little more pronounced too. But you started 3 stitches and closed them up as 1. I want to show you one more thing that I'm not going to show in the photo tutorial, because I actually did the photo tutorial before I made this video. But it occurred to me that I want to show you, if it said to, say, double crochet in 1 stitch, chain 3, and then double crochet in the next stitch, you can do that too. Here we've got a double crochet, I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm going to yarn over and go right into the base there and make my next double crochet. Or if it said to do it in the same stitch, I would do it without making the chain portion. So you see, really you can do just about anything with foundation stitches that you can do working into a chain. It just takes a little more thought and thinking about what each part of the foundation stitch represents. And that's really all there is to increasing and decreasing with foundation stitches. Thank you so much for watching.